LPS. Go. Flight.
Flight is go.
Holla. Personnel on 212, verify ready to return. GT0 go. LPS. Go. Flight.
Flight is go.
Holla. Personnel on 212, verify ready to return. GT0 go. LPS. Go. Flight.
Flight is go.
Holla. Personnel on 212, verify ready to return. GT0 go. LPS. Go. Flight.
Flight is go.
Holla. Personnel on 212, verify ready to return. GT0 go.
Countdown, T-minus 5 minutes.
This is Mission Control. All systems online.
Personnel on 212, verify ready to return. GT0 go. LPS. Go. Flight.
Flight is go.
Holla.
Countdown, T-minus 4 minutes.
STM.
STM, go.
Safety console.
Gotta go.
Structural integrity at 100%.
SPU, go.
EDR.
CDR, go.
Copy LRD.
LRDs, go.
Countdown T-minus 3 minutes.
Clear to launch.
Copy. Launch trajectory and today. Launch team is ready.
All shields online and at maximum efficiency.
CLS copies. Countdown clock will resume on my mark. 3, 2, 1, mark.
Copy. We'll conduct the management poll at this time. Payload operation. Payload's ready to go. Copy. Get you the SRO and 2.
Countdown T-minus 2 minutes.
SRO, Century, go ahead.
Yes, sir. Latest update from SCO is that there are
Communication protocol initiated.
Engineering director. 5 engineering. Go.
Yeah, copy that. And again, we pick up the drive.
Safety and quality.
Safety and quality still off.
Copy out.
PLT, OTC, configure fuel cells to the essentials.
Countdown T-minus 60 seconds.
Launch vector, we have no weather constraints to launch. Steady state wind forecast from 030 degrees at 12 knots.
Superfluid drive calibrated.
T-minus 30 seconds. Please prepare for final sequence.
Bob, we have no constraints. We're clear to
All
launch. The
systems
50
functioning
flight is
at
cleared.
optimal levels.
Copy launch
Well, that
trajectory.
NCD, we have
Alpha
good.
challenge 1, 2, the countdown clock will
Entering the
start.
Celosphere in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Explore the unlimited potential of true business transformation. This is a journey for those with the vision to bring out the best in their business. Are you ready to take the next step? Welcome to Celosphere. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Alexander Rinke to the stage.
Hey everybody, thank you so much for being here. You make this event special. Thank you so much for coming. When we planned this event, and this is our first ever global customer and partner conference. Thank you. So we had no idea what to expect. We had no idea how many people would come. So we did some planning, we did some thinking. In our last week, in 2017, we did an event for partners. I think we had 80 people. We also called our friends and idols from SAP, Germany's most successful and biggest software company, and asked them, how many people came to the first Sapphire? And they said 208. So we thought, let's plan this event for 400 people. And then when 400 people had signed up, we called the event organizers and said, can we maybe go to 800? And they said, okay. So they went to 800. And we had 800 people sign up. And we called them again, can we go over 1,000? And they said, it's getting a little bit tricky. We have to build some tents, so you will see some tents, and we sort of had to really stretch. And then still, even though they went over 1,000, so we have over 1,000 people here in Munich now, we had to close the ticket sales 3 weeks ago. And we will have even more than joining us here in person on our live stream, joining online. So thank you so much. It means a tremendous deal to us. Thank you so much for coming. And just going around yesterday when we had our partner day, we have people here joining us from Japan, from China, from Korea, from Latin America, from Argentina, Brazil, from Mexico, many people from the United States, all over Europe, the entire world, the ecosystem. Somebody just told me, he looked around and says, this is really the who is who of process mining here. The most advanced users of process mining, the most advanced partners of process mining, the thought leaders of process mining technology. So thank you so much. And I want to briefly touch on the agenda for this keynote. And then, after the keynote, we will have a lot of great breakout sessions, and you all know the agenda. And this is really a place for you to exchange. Because we truly believe that any disruptive technology, it's not about the technology, the product, the vendor. It's about the community, how you embed it in your businesses, how you actually make it happen. That is the much, much harder and more interesting part. So this event is for that. So I'll have my two co-founders, Bastian and Martin, join me on stage for a business overview. Just want to reflect on where we came from, where we are, and where we are going. Then we have a very special man here on stage, Professor Wolf van der Aalst, who invented process mining technology. So all of what we do is actually based on his research. So he will give a perspective that will, I think, be incredible. And then, secondly, we have Mark Harrimans, who is really a thought leader in this industry. He was the first to pick up process mining. I think then we called it automated business process discovery or something like that. And he was always very forward-thinking. I'll talk a little bit about him. Then we have the chief information officer from BMW, one of the biggest companies in the world, joining us on stage, and a very important partner for us. And then we talk a little bit about product vision and roadmap. So that's the agenda. So first of all, Basti and Martin, great if you could join me. So we actually, our first real office, so our first office was Bastian's apartment, and our first real office was actually 100 meters away from here behind me, in the next building. And a lot has changed since then. We actually found a picture in front of that building, so afterwards if you go out and you see the building, you will recognize. Yes, so a lot has changed since then. I mean, Bastian and Martin kind of still look the same. I lost my hair, but And we started this company. You see the Academy Consult logo there. So we were part of a student initiative called Academy Consult here in Munich, where students were given the opportunity to consult real businesses as consultants, solving real business challenges. And we did a project for the Bavarian Broadcasting Channel, or as people know it in Germany, the Bayerische Rundfunk. And the Bayerische Rundfunk was kind enough to engage students in this project and give us a real challenge to work on, which was very exciting. And the challenge that we were allowed to work on was to help the Bayerische Rundfunk improve their IT service management process. So the IT team in the Bayerische Rundfunk is supporting thousands of journalists, employees around Bavaria, Germany, and the whole world. And they wanted to improve the IT ticketing process, reduce the time it takes to resolve tickets, become much more customer-oriented, increase productivity, and they engaged us. So we had little idea and little information about how an IT service management process works, let alone how to improve it. So what we did is we did what consultants typically do. We went in, we did interviews with people, we draw process maps, and we were it was a little bit strange because some people told us this, some people told us something else. It was very hard to understand what was really going on, how we could improve, and it was very, very hard to get to the actual as-is process. And maybe that is because we were not very good at being consultants, probably, and also because it's generally hard to extract that knowledge out of any business. So we noticed that they were using this system called BMC Remedy, which is an IT service management system. So every ticket, every call, when one person assigns it to the next person, all of that gets recorded and logged in BMC Remedy. It's sort of like ServiceNow or other IT service management tools, very common. So we thought, if we could get our hands on the log data, event log data from their BMC Remedy system, and if we would apply Will's research and algorithms about process mining on top of it, we could actually get rid of all the workshops and all the questions. And we would get the real insight into how it really works. So that's what we did. And we worked with the team there, and it was really an amazing experience. Because we could see exactly what was going on in the IT service management process. No feelings, no emotions, no subjective information, the real information. And we could see and understand how we could improve it, how we could make it better. And it was really, really cool. And then we thought, this is something that every business could use. Very simple. But when you people say that when you start a company, you have to be a little bit naive and a little bit crazy and believe in things that are not obvious at the time. And maybe they are right. But what's much more important than that is that you find people that believe in you. And when we did this project, the CIO, then and still CIO of the Bayerische Rundfunk, Josef Spitzelberger, said to us, I like this. I like what you guys do and I believe in you guys, even though we had very little to show. And he said, you should start a company and I want to become your first customer. And without that person, we would all not be here today, I'm pretty sure. Because when you have nothing to show, no references, no technology, no product, it takes real courage to believe in something like that. So we are extremely excited to have our first ever customer, Josef Spitzelberger, here with us today, joining us on stage. Big round of applause.
Okay, so it's our real pleasure. Thanks for the trust over all the years, trusting in us when it was still all the vision. helping us basically create what we see all today, and that's why we want to present you with our first customer award on behalf of Celonis.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Yeah, round of applause. So, yeah, that was really the incubation of the company. And Joseph also introduced us to some of his peers in the media industry that became, a lot of them became our customers. So it was very, very impactful for us. So I hand it over to Basti to talk about another very big customer.
Thank you, Alex. Yes, after having basically our first customer won with the Bavarian Broadcasting Company, if you want to build a company, you want to win new customers. So we were roaming the country, pitching our ideas, the first versions of the technology, looking into that. And we're also looking around inside of Munich. And there was one company, looking at the yellow pages, which we thought would be a perfect fit. And we have always been very ambitious. And this was Siemens, because we thought they are very technology-minded, having technology at the core. They are innovation-minded, having a global presence. So it would be absolutely fabulous if we can apply our technology to Siemens' processes. But there was a small problem. They have almost 400,000 employees, but we didn't know a single one of them and had no contact or getting into organization, and we were still quite a small startup. But luckily, we had one connection, and the good thing was here that my good friend Stefan, who I'm very happy that also is here. So Stefan, if you maybe want to quickly get up. Stefan was doing something really crucial. He was doing an internship in the internal audit department of Siemens. And at that point, they had a real strong focus in the analytics area. So we thought this is perfect. We envisioned a concept how it could help them, but we somehow needed to present it. So we urged Stefan, we begged him, Stefan, you need to introduce us to your boss. But Stefan said, I'm just an intern. I just started there and not the biggest up in the chain. But we have been quite persuasive, took him out for some beers. And I'm really grateful that he took all his courage, all his social capital, and he pitched it. And to our great surprise, his boss really liked it. So we had the chance to present to him what you can see here, basically. We thought it would be a fabulous idea if we connect to all the SAP systems, build up a central server, basically, which allows the people in Siemens audit department to leverage our technology and to use it in their projects, in their audit assignments. And we went there, we pitched it to him, and he really liked it. And this was the starting point, how we started to work with Siemens. And I think for Siemens and for Celonis, this has been a great ride, and I want to talk on the next slide how this ride developed over the years. But especially for Celonis, this was a very important milestone, because it allowed us to have an experience in many different business models. Siemens doing business in the energy, in the production, in many business units on a global basis, and most importantly, on an enterprise scale, large data volumes, high security requirements. So we never started to play in the Dritte Bundesliga. We immediately played Champions League. And I think this is something which you can still feel in our technology. It's built for the largest companies of the world, your high demands and requirements. So let's look a bit on the road which we had together with Siemens. So in 2012, we started working with the audit department, where they were using it in the different type of audits. And at some point, more than 40 different projects were going on across the enterprise. And there was more and more interest going. In 2014, there was a crucial moment, because the leadership recognized that they want to build a center of excellence in a central technological platform. They had already a data lake on a central HANA platform in place. At that point, about 5 terabyte in data. Today, more than 30 terabyte, and setting this up. So having a scalable approach to make available process mining on a Celonis technology to different units, plants in the Siemens environment. So over time, they connected this to more than 100 systems, 72 ERP systems and other satellite systems. And this really allowed to scale this. And it picked up momentum. We have been really proud to be part of the 1/16 initiative, a board-level project which allowed them to improve more than 1 billion on the cost side, where Celonis has been applied on the P2P, on the order-to-cash, and many other projects. Siemens is one of our largest installations worldwide and has really shown that process mining can be a transformational initiative across many, many different processes and users. But the innovation is continuing. In the true Celonis spirit, we push it together with our customers. So now also applying it to other data sources, to their manufacturing processes, to IoT data of our joint customers, so Siemens machines creating process data and being linked up in their MindSphere platform. So I really appreciate the partnership, and I want to give a big round of applause to Siemens for all the trust, for working with us, for also showing to the process mining community and being available for many reference calls, for helping many of our customers seeing what can be done there. So big round of applause for the trust over all the years. And I can really encourage all of you, there are many Siemens employees here, so thank you for coming. Just use this experience, the wealth of knowledge they have accumulated over times. And I'm now happy that I can hand it over to Martin.
Maybe quickly on that, there's a session at 1 from Siemens, who's very influential in the order-to-cash side. We have Lars, Khaled, Hartmut. I've seen many familiar faces. So yeah, I mean, and then we have tomorrow, we have a little award session for customers. So you will have plenty of opportunity there. Really good to connect with.
Yeah, really leverage it. That's what Celosphere is for. And now over to Martin, that we learn a bit more how our versions developed over time.
Yes. So, hello? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, that's great. I can't hear myself too much, but yes. So for those who don't know me, I'm Martin, and I'm totally stoked by seeing so many people showing up. So it's actually, for me, I think it's the biggest stage I've ever been on. So I'm very excited, and yeah. So Celosphere is a lot about the future. So we will present you future products, a roadmap, etc. But what I would like to use this opportunity here for is to give you a little bit more context of the history of the Celonis product versions in order to understand how we innovated over the years and what were like the driving factors behind each of the iterations. I think this is maybe also interesting for people who haven't been with Celonis for a certain period of time, because I think like we can learn a lot from everybody who involves us in their future products. So as Basti already said, when we started small. So Celonis version 1 was essentially the version which we started to deliver to Bayerischer Rundfunk when we started, and it was very basic. So we had this problem of mapping out the as-is processes based on the data in BMC Remedy, and yeah, we started packaging that into a product. But it couldn't do anything in addition to that. So it was really focused around this one single problem which we were trying to solve. So the software at that point was actually that basic that when we showed it for the first time, we didn't show the software, but we showed paper printouts. But the nice thing was that even those paper printouts already provided enough value to convince Mr. Spitzelberger to really like start buying into the technology and really like pushing us out of the door and getting started and thinking about building a company and taking this technology to the next level. So after we rolled out Celonis version 1, we actually saw a pattern which we saw over and over again. So once the users started to adopt the technology, we were confronted with a lot of new requirements because, of course, like if you start with something, then you learn about it, then you expand, and then you get back and you want to iterate and get better. And at that point, Celonis version 1 it could be used for generating process maps, but it couldn't do a lot more. And more specifically, it only allowed to do that on a per user level. So with version 2, we started to what we call today enterprise readiness. It was really about not a single analyst having to work on a single analysis, but to be able for people to collaborate on creating insights, sharing those insights, and putting them together, later on also publishing it to business users. So version 2, we basically took what we had in the core of version 1, added a lot of functionalities around sharing, around authorizations, because obviously not everybody should see everything what is in the system. a certain layer of configurability because, again, version 1 was very focused on a very single use case, but to adapt it to the business use cases, we had to be able to also do that. And one thing which I think most people working with Celonis take for granted, but which actually wasn't there in version 1, was the possibility to do filtering of the data and also to include business relevant KPIs inside of your process. So that was really, I would say, the first platform which was really useful. So at least that's what I thought at that point. And luckily also our first customers who adopted that saw that. Now, the marketing at that point in time, I mean, we were a very small organization back then. And the marketing back at that time was still very, I would call it, unconventional. So we had a plan to, or like we actually did that as a campaign, creating handwritten letters and sending them out to potential future customers. Because we thought if it's handwritten, then it's personal, so it won't go directly to the trash. And to our surprise, that method actually worked to some extent, and at some point we had like an answering card, so we put those small answering postcards into the letters. And we got a reply from big pharmaceutical company Bayer, who said, hey, that looks really interesting, we would like to meet you. So with that in mind, we met at that time on the CeBIT, which still existed back in those days. And we're sitting together with them, and we got started with some initiatives also in the audit department. And what happened pretty quickly is that Bayer decided to introduce Celonis as part of their global auditing toolbox, which meant that auditors, if they were going out to, let's say, a subsidiary in Indonesia, they were taking Celonis with them and running the audits there. Now, we were mostly coming from a very, let's say, data engineer or data analyst user base, but those auditors, they were business users, so they were no like native data engineers. So what we had in version 2 was not so usable for them. So they had to have specific interactions, they had to have a great user experience, and it had to be possible to customize the software to the extent that you could actually build business applications for them. So with version 3, the goal was really to improve the visual experience to the extent that it's usable for business users all across the organization. And another thing which is very important and which is also, I think, one of the really strong points of Celonis today is if you go to an audit and you're trying to investigate a fraud case, you can't stop at the event log. So you need to be able to contextualize the event log with what else is happening in your system. So you need to be able to access, let's say, the invoice data, you need to be able to access your master data, your customers, the person involved in a process, and so on and so forth. And I think probably like one of the most important innovations which we've put into Celonis 3 is the possibility to contextualize what we have in the data, like in the source data, with what we see in the process. That method, or like that kind of approach, we implemented back then by creating our own custom query language, which is called the PQL, the process query language, which really, like, back in those days, it was more like necessary to have something like that, but it proved to be like very, very useful, and like across the years, this is really driving our platform, and today it's like the core functionality or the core interface between our applications and our backend. So there is actually, for those of you who are interested in diving deeper into PQL, there is a breakout session about that. So if you're interested in that, you should really join that. I think it's pretty cool what we've built there. With Celonis 3, we kind of saw history repeating. So we've built a great new product. We could add this visual experience. We could add those interactions. We allowed people to build like real applications which they could roll out to their users. And that's what people did. So our users started to create like much more sophisticated data models. They started to create much more sophisticated applications and rolling that out to larger user bases. And of course, like, again, that put some requirements back to us because, you know, if you have to scale, then it's good if the technology scales together with you. So coming from Celonis 3, we were already able to power very large-scale installations, but Celonis 4 was really like another big step forward in that journey. So with Celonis 4, and this is probably the UI most of you actually know, we really, like, by creating our own in-memory computational engine, by just revamping a very large part of the technology stack, it allows us to really scale up in terms of data volume, to scale up in terms of user numbers, to really support installations from very small installations all the way up to installations like Siemens, ABB, Uber, and so on and so forth. So really, this is, I think, like, looking back in the history, that was another like big technological leap which we took forward. It was a lot of change. It was large parts of the software were rewritten or re-engineered, but it really helped us to provide that level of scale which our customers needed. With version 4.5, which was actually released 2 weeks ago, our engineers managed again to push that to another level. So again, we could increase the performance, I would say, by an order of magnitude. So it's a really different experience. We had a lot of features which were demanded by customers, like, for example, bookmark sharing, which is extremely helpful for collaboration. We added a lot of small things which just made the software better and better and easier to adopt. Also, like, for example, support for native Hadoop file system formats, etc. And actually, I mean, I'm like an insider, so I pretty much know what is coming up, and I'm really excited for version 4.6, especially also with regards to what we have planned for end-to-end processes. So stay tuned on that one. Now, this is probably what most of you know, but actually the biggest innovation, I would say, ever in Celonis history is moving from Celonis version 4 into what we call the Intelligent Business Cloud. With the Intelligent Business Cloud, and we're actually going to see that in a lot more detail, our goal was really to focus on speed, simplicity, and action. So what those mean, we will learn later today. What the Intelligent Business Cloud essentially is, it's a cloud-first, cloud-native, fully managed platform, really helping you to get the most value out of your data in the least possible time, so to be really effective on this. As I said, we're going to learn a lot about that later, so I'm very excited to see that, like, it took around 3 years of development to bring that out, and it, like, also for me, because it's my responsibility, it's really great to see that hitting the market, getting feedback from you, and really driving the adoption of the technology at our users. Another thing which we launched together with the IBC is the Celonis community. So the Celonis community is an open community where you can just sign up, where you can discuss questions, where you can get in touch with our product managers, where you can share your ideas, where you can get inspired. And also we have series like, for example, Feature of the Week, where our product managers present you with a feature, with a walkthrough, which really helps you to get better in using Celonis, to enable new functionalities, and to really, like, adopt the technology inside of your organization. So looking back, we have a very strong history in innovating together with customers. And the result of one of the most recent successful innovation projects, we did it together with Schuckert Electronic. So just as a side note, if you have products which you want us to develop, then just get in touch. So we're really happy about getting that input. So with Schuckert Electronic, we went basically through the full process of ideation, prototyping, user feedback, iteration, and what we created is a product which really helps getting the insights from Celonis to the place where they matter most, at the operational users. And I'm really happy to show you how that actually works.
As a distributor, Schucott Electronics' key differentiator is on-time, fast delivery. They start each day by relying on the Celonis Action Engine.
As an order manager, I receive a real-time notification if there's a potential order delay. With a single click, I'm in SAP, making sure those packages are prioritized and shipped immediately. No complaints, just goods received as promised.
In procurement, I see when I have to prioritize particular purchase requisitions and immediately click into SAP to convert the requisition into an order.
As a manager, I ensure that estimated customer delivery times are accurate. Action Engine lets me know when the actual supplier delivery time doesn't match up with the customer delivery time. And that gives me the opportunity to address process issues or bottlenecks before they become a problem for our customers.
In finance, I'm notified every time a drop shipment has not been correctly or fully invoiced, so I can instantly create the missing invoices.
When a specific supplier has frequent delays, then I can work together with that supplier to avert late deliveries in the future.
This is the face of our business transformation. And this is the engine behind it.
All right.
So, yes, thanks again. Just as a side note, we got colleagues from Schucott here today, and actually also Mr. Schucott himself. So thanks a lot for giving us the opportunity to innovate, and a big applause for that.
Thank you. Hey, thank you guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Awesome. So now everybody knows how we got started, and Martin gave a great history of the product and how we're now moving from insight to action, which is probably the most important step for everybody here. I now have an opportunity to give you an update on some important developments at Celonis and also in the wider ecosystem. Before I do that, I just want to say, everybody who's standing, there's still some free VIP seats here that are not taken, so feel free to grab a seat. Okay, so one of the most important things for all of us here is, and I think the momentum of this conference shows it very well, is that we are creating a category. What does that mean? Meaning process mining technology, as we just pointed out, and as you can see by the wide range of customers and users here, can be used anywhere within the business. So even if we feel that this conference is big, it's actually pretty small compared to the potential of this category. And it is our vision and our ambition to enable enterprises around the world in every process to embed process mining technology into their day-to-day business. And what's really interesting is for 7 years, we've already building this ecosystem at this company and the partner ecosystem, but nobody covered it. There was no analyst coverage. For 7 years, there was no analyst coverage, or almost none. And we see the momentum that we've seen in the market and in the analyst coverage over the last 6 to 9 months has just been completely breathtaking. Everybody came in. Gartner came in, Forrester, ING, Everest, they're not even all on this list. We will have Mark talk a little bit about the developments later. We will have Rob from Forrester and Ray from Constellation here tomorrow. So it's really been incredible to see the momentum of this category that we are all building. So while you are innovating and leading this disruption within your organizations, expect this to become ubiquitous across enterprise software and across every organization. And this is by far, and this is also something that the analysts recognize very, very clearly, this is by far the leading ecosystem for process mining technology by a very, very wide margin. And it's mirrored not just by the analyst coverage, but by all of you who are already putting great trust in Celonis and process mining technology. What's particularly exciting here is that it doesn't matter at which industry you look. There's already leading companies in these industries trusting in Celonis, trusting in the ecosystem, and in process mining technology, and many of you are here. And typically, how enterprise software markets work is that the people in every industry will follow the leaders in this industry. And you see many leaders here on this slide. We've also already built up a massive ecosystem of partners, of strong partnerships around the world, and we couldn't be happier. We had our partner day yesterday, it was amazing. We couldn't be happier about all of our partnerships with technology partners such as SAP, Oracle, Salesforce, UiPath, Automation Anywhere, Blue Prism, ServiceNow. So the technology companies are large global consulting and technology consulting firms like Ernst & Young, Deloitte, PwC. You will see many of them as sponsors here. You can talk to them about their experiences. We really see, for example, the big fours, the KPMG, Deloitte, PwC, and EY, are really rolling this out at incredible pace and scale because it's going to really matter to everything they do. And then we've built up this great ecosystem of global partnerships with more specialized implementers and consulting firms around the world to cover every market, for example, in Russia, in Asia. So everywhere you are, you will find a Celonis partner to help you get started and get successful. We have also significantly grown the company. So at a very, very rapid pace, we've established Celonis across the world. I personally helped establish Celonis in the United States. We now have offices in Asia and Latin America, all around the world, and are expanding very rapidly. Because again, we see this as a global category. So we need to be everywhere. This growth is not just mirrored in the offices and the partners and the customers, it's also mirrored in our team. So we've massively grown the company over the last few years, obviously based on your trust and your business. And we are just getting started. We see an exponential growth curve, and we are really investing very, very heavily to capture this opportunity together with you. Maybe the most important piece is that we are continuing to double down on innovation. Because we want to do way more for you. We don't just want you able to get insights easier and faster than today. We also want to enable you to take action. So we just established 2 R&D centers in Europe, one in Munich, in a whole new building, one in Eastern Europe. We have 11 patent applications pending, and some of them granted. We have brought the first process mining solution native to the cloud, which we will talk a lot about today. So we are investing heavily in innovation because we are just getting started. And we need all of your input and your thoughts and ideas to guide us on this innovation journey so we are developing the right things for you. We've also been recognized more and more by the media and the press and the analyst community. We've received the best cloud solution award for our IBC right after this has been launched. We've been the second most desirable workplace in Germany, which we're very proud of, because we not just want to create a company with good outcomes for customers, but also companies that our people like to work for. And we will have Will on stage here after me. We are investing heavily also in our academic initiatives and our academic partnerships. Celonis has been born from academia. This is where we got started, as I said. And we based our technology based on the innovations and advancement of the academic community. So we are excited to announce that we have over 10,000 researchers and students actively using our products for free in their research efforts. We are supporting hundreds of theses with real data, with customer projects. If you are interested, we have students that are always interested and researchers to work with our customers and partners. We are supporting more than 200 academic courses. So we're really doubling down on this, and we've seen an incredible momentum in the academic community. In November, which is sort of a hot month for universities. Universities are always a bit seasonal, depending on when you have holidays and exams and those things. But in November, we had over 1,000 new people sign up for our academic cloud. So we see tremendous momentum, and I think we'll hit 100,000 academic users soon. And this is very important, because those are the process miners of tomorrow. Also, within our academic partnerships, we are continuing to innovate and push the boundaries on things like the performance of our algorithms, the capabilities of our algorithms, and the robustness of our algorithms to cover any type of data. So we're very excited about that. And then last year, we've also introduced our Intelligent Business Cloud on October 15th. And we are going to talk a lot about this today. So there's a lot going on in the whole community and the business and Celonis, so we are very excited. Let me give you a quick idea on what our vision for the future is. So we think, first of all, that we are in a very, very exciting time for any business. We are what's called the age of disruption. Because businesses have to drastically change their processes, their products and services to stay competitive in the new era. And I think that that was always the case. But what's changing is the pace. Meaning they have to innovate and disrupt much, much faster than they had to do it 100 years ago. And you see many of our customers' products here, BMW, GE, etc., how you successfully already managed to lead this age of disruption. And you see it within your own companies and your own businesses, that there's a lot of talk around transformation and disruption and change and subscription-based business models, better service for customers, and all these things. And we think there's two fundamental reasons for that. The first reason is the millennial consumer. The millennial consumer expects totally different things from you in terms of customer experience. If you look at these businesses, Amazon, Google, Netflix, and Uber, they are all doing different things. But they have one thing in common. They provide amazing customer experience and customer service. And whether you are in banking, whether you are an industrial B2B business, whether you're a wholesaler like Schuckert, you have to provide experiences that are as good. Because these consumers just expect it. And they'll expect it from you. And you might say, I'm not competing with Uber. It doesn't matter, because Uber's customers are human beings and your customers are very likely human beings. So they expect the same quality, the same service. Delivery times can't be measured anymore in weeks or days. They have to be measured in hours. Customer service ticket resolution can't be measured in days or hours. They have to be measured in seconds and minutes. So you have to provide way, way faster customer service, way, way better customer experience. The second thing, and this is very interesting, of course, every economy and every business has to drive productivity every year. And the reason for that is that you need room for growth. So we did some research, and we found that in the developed economies, like the United States and Western Europe, where most of you are from, the average annual productivity growth over the last years has only been 1%. So we think we are driving amazing productivity all the time, but actually we are not. And that means that if we want to grow GDP much more than 1%, we need more people. And in developed economies, we're not getting more people fast enough. So we have to, even as a society, continue to drive productivity within every business. So if you look at these two challenges, we have to provide way better customer service and customer experience. And at the same time, we have to drive productivity faster than we are doing it today. So that sounds hard, right? You have to do a better job with less. But that's what we're all facing. And why is that so hard? We think, and there we have a different view. Because the outcome of this is, of course, you need business transformation. You transform yourself to be more productive and provide better customer experience. But why is that so hard? And there we have a very different view. We think the reason that is so hard for businesses, especially businesses that have been around for a long time, like many of you, the reason why that is so hard is operational friction. Over the years, as companies grew, whether you look at any business that you work with, we have built up these siloed departments, and every process cuts across these silos. So for example, serving a customer from lead all the way to invoice cuts across the marketing department, the sales department, the supply chain team, the manufacturing department. So we have these siloed business architectures and processes that cut across these silos. And then we've put in systems that are mostly geared towards supporting one silo. So we have a manufacturing execution system, we have a CRM system for the sales team, we have a marketing system for the marketing team, we have a customer service system for the customer service team. And the interfaces of these silos, departments, organizations, and systems, so there's a tremendous amount of operational friction. There's things getting manually reworked, there's things that are not automated, there's people that don't talk to each other, there's things that are get held up, there's deliveries that are being shipped late, there's invoices that can't be processed right away. And all of these things, we think that that is the main challenge of business transformation. The main challenge is the tremendous amount of operational friction that we have introduced into our systems and organizations over the years. And there's two challenges. It's a challenge for our consumers, for our customers, because they don't like to get their shipment late. They don't like to wait on the telephone for 10 minutes to get a customer service agent. They don't like to be called because they have to change their invoice or they got the wrong amount. And it's also, and this is an impact, it also has a tremendous impact on the workforce. Do you think your people like manually touching thousands of invoices and reworking them because the master data was incorrect? Do you think your people like to call the customers and tell them that the shipment is late? Do you think your people like to wait forever to get something done? They don't. And we think that if we want to transform and be successful in the age of disruption, the most strategic thing is to remove operational friction across the entire business to provide way better outcomes for the workforce and for the customers. That is our vision. And we have done something pretty cool. We've done some research. So we went out and we asked, we commissioned a research institute, so we didn't do it ourselves. And they asked 1,000 business leaders, and also they asked 1,000 operational employees. So they asked the top and they asked the bottom of the organization around their experience with business transformation. And here's what came out of it. So first of all, everybody recognized that it's important. A third are already more than $500,000 into business transformation. And many of you here, the kind of companies that are here, are in the millions. You spend millions on business transformation. That's not surprising, right? So people recognize the challenge, the problem. They know they need to do something. And now it gets interesting. We asked the business leaders, and we also asked the employees, but we're not going to show you that because it would be too crazy. We asked the business leaders, what do you think? How is it going? How are you doing? Let's check in. How are you doing? And 44% think that their business transformation initiatives are a waste of time, of the leaders. So they're investing tremendous amounts of money in it, and they think it's a waste of time. You know, we had this multiple choice test where you could cross multiple, and they didn't say, okay, it's going okay, it's going so and so. They went all the way to the right and said, it's a waste of time. So that was very surprising. And the reason we think is that 82% do not review their internal systems, procedures, and processes before they jump in to business transformation. 82% are not doing what you are doing. Looking, not saying we need business transformation, we need to hire a chief digital officer, we need this fancy project, and we need to become digital and super cool. They actually say 82% do that, and 18%, the people in this room, what they do is they apply process mining technology, and they review what's actually going on in their organization before they jump into a business transformation initiative. So this is what we think has to be done. This is what has to change. So we think that transformation starts with removing operational friction. Looking at your siloed processes and departments, looking at them end to end, all the way from lead to cash, all the way from request to pay, all the way from innovation to product delivery. Looking at them end to end, connecting them using process mining technology, understanding and removing the operational friction, doing that, applying that across the enterprise, connecting it with the customer and what the customer wants, and becoming what we think is going to succeed in the future, becoming a super fluid enterprise. This is our vision for the future, the superfluid enterprise. Superfluidity is a term in physics that describes a state of zero friction. And if you can make your internal procedures and processes superfluid, remove the operational friction, and connect them to what your customer wants, you will become a superfluid enterprise and you will succeed. And we actually wrote a whole book, small book, on the superfluid enterprise, and it's sort of in all of your bags here. So you can read more about our vision, not now hopefully, but later when you get back to the hotel or so. And I think it's a really interesting concept. And obviously, I mean, what does it mean? It means you have to do bottom-up business transformation as opposed to top-down business transformation. You have to have automated, self-evolving operations and full transparency across your processes. And you're not going to do this from today to tomorrow, right? You're not going to change these huge Fortune 500 organizations in a few days. This is a journey. And we think in here, we have the who's who of process mining. And it's not us, it's you. So exchange with your peers on how they do this, how they make their operations super fluid today. Because we're only going to get to the state of superfluidity and the superfluid enterprise one process at a time. That's our vision. That's what we're all striving towards. And now it's an incredible pleasure to welcome the man that built the foundation for this and that invented process mining technology, Will van der Aalst, here with me on stage. Big round of applause, please. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Alex.
Thank you. Mr. Flicker?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, so thanks a lot. It is also for me an incredible pleasure to be here, to see so many people here. I'm also extremely happy by the success of Celonis. It has been an amazing journey, as we have just seen. The journey started in 2011, 3 students that are very complementary, that have the technology, know how to sell things, see what businesses need, leading to this incredible success. But the topic of process mining actually started a bit earlier. And I would like to dive back into the last 20 years and also reflect a bit towards the future of process mining. So I have three parts: past, present, and future. And I would like to start with the past. So where did this all start? In the late 80s and the mid 90s, most of my research was related to process modeling, simulation, workflow management technology, business process management. I was very interested in concurrency, and the world is highly concurrent. At this point in time when we are doing things, many other things are happening, and it's very important to understand concurrency if you're interested in how to improve processes. So I was doing that very much on paper, but I got a bit, let's say, disappointed by the effect of modeling. I was also involved in several workflow projects where there would be 50 people making wallpaper. They were not called BPMN models at the time, but they were very similar, of people wasting time modeling processes and then realizing when implementing, for example, a workflow management system, that reality was completely different. So I was very frustrated by that. I was very irritated by it. And that's why I walked over this, let's say, very narrow bridge. And that was very unusual. Of course, at that time, there were many people already working on the topic of data mining. There were many people working on these process-related topics, but very few people were trying to combine these. And that's what I started off to do, let's say, at the late 90s. And as we have seen today, I think that turned out to be a very good idea. So process mining is very nice that it combines things that used to be separated. So it is combining, for example, BPM with reality. Many of the older BPM initiatives were by people living in a fictional world. And today the keyword is digital transformation. And as Alex just showed you, what really the effect of digital transformation is often very disappointing if you don't do it bottom up and you look at the facts first. So this is very important. Process mining is combining these two things. It is combining IT and business, two camps that are typically fighting with each other. Facts are uniting these two camps. And I think that's very interesting. What you see here is a brief history. Sorry that there are lots of words, but I try to capture a bit of a timeline that may be interesting for you to look at. Also to understand why we are here today and what happened before. So for me, this journey started 20 years ago when I established a new process mining group in Eindhoven. We developed all kinds of algorithms that you can still see in textbooks today. And in 2004, we developed our first, let's say, open source process mining framework. Then there were lots of innovations. And for me, it is very interesting to see the things that were happening around 2005 are the new features of the tools today. So you can see that there is a kind of delay in adopting these things. What is also interesting is that what you can see here is Futura Process Intelligence. Probably very few people in the room know who this company is, but this was the first real pure play process mining company. It was selected by Gartner at the time as a cool vendor. It was very clear that this was going to be the future, but somehow it was too early. It didn't get the traction that it has today. What you see here is, let's say, several other exciting innovations. The first process mining book in the same year as when Celonis got established. There was the Coursera MOOC that I think was also very important for developing the field. It has been taken by around 120,000 people in the world, and I think that also helped to spread the message a bit. What you also see in recent years, I think key factors are that the analysts recognize this as a special category. The fact that Celonis is valued so high that it is called a unicorn, I think that shows a bit of the timeline that has happened. So that's a bit of history. Let's look at the present. And I'm a professor, so I try to always also explain not why it is useful, but a bit more what it's really like. So first, the good news. The good news is the technology is ready. The technology is there. There are several great tools, including the tool of Celonis, that are able to do this. So this is not one tool, this is a market segment that has an incredible value. It is ready, you can use it today, and I don't think that I have to tell that for this audience. What you see is that many tools offer the basic functionality. Discovery, showing bottlenecks, frequency of paths, etc. They all have that. What you see is that some tools are much more mature and you get to the points that are more difficult to implement. For example, things like scalability. How can you make this really scalable, rather than that it just works on a toy data set with a couple of thousands of cases? But also more advanced technologies like conformance checking. Conformance checking will be as important as discovery. And it's much more difficult to support, much harder to implement. So to sketch a bit the basic idea, and I think you all know this, so events are things that are happening in any type of system. It could be the bag that you check into the airport or the invoice that you receive. These are the events. What you typically do is that if you want to do process mining, you first look at 3 key elements of an event. What is it about, the case ID, what is the activity that has happened, and what is the timestamp. This data is everywhere. That makes this the same as spreadsheets. You don't build a spreadsheet for a hospital or a production company. The same is with process mining. You don't build it for a hospital or a production company. It is universal. This type of data is everywhere. If you have this type of data, it is relatively simple. For example, here I'm looking at 3 particular customer orders. You group the events by order, by coloring them. Then you separate them. So this one order, the second order, the third order. Then you get a sequence of activity for these 3 orders. Then you look at how frequent are these different sequences taking place. So in the data set that I just showed you, you can see that there are certain behaviors that are very, very frequent. But there were also behaviors in this data set which were less frequent. So for example, here you can see that there are 37 cases, if you add them up, where people were actually paying before they got an invoice. Yeah? So you can distinguish between frequent and infrequent behavior. You can generate models showing you the normal behavior, the happy path, but also the very rare exceptional behavior. So then you have these process models, and then everything else starts. So you can show what is really going on. You can show where are the bottlenecks based on facts. And if you have a normative model or you just mine the happy path, you can also see where the deviations are. If you see a bottleneck or you see a deviation, you can drill down on these bottlenecks and deviations to see where the problem is. So it sounds very simple. I think it is also very simple. And it's beautiful that today, let's say, people in industry are recognizing that this is actually the answer to lots of questions. So what I just showed you is just the tip of the iceberg. So customers that use process mining, what you typically see is that over time their demands change. You know what your process looks like. You want to know how you can improve it. Right? So you get these more advanced questions. And that is what people typically, when they talk about process mining, they just see the tip of the iceberg. They don't see that if you have this process model in place, what kind of other capabilities you can use to really improve your processes. So this is all beautiful. So why isn't the whole world using this? I think there are two main reasons. One main reason is people. The other main reason is data. So what is the problem with people? I think many people do not really, that should know process mining, still do not know it, or still do not understand it. They think it has something to do with machine learning or AI, not understanding the concept in itself completely. I've been often talking to, let's say, large groups of Six Sigma black belts that should be trained to do these types of things, and they have no clue. They do not know about process mining. So awareness is an important thing. I think also many people say that they want to have transparency, but I've always been surprised by the resistance that auditors have to use this type of technology. Many people do not really want transparency. Yeah, so if people want to fight transparency, they are super scared of process mining. But we know that this will all just be a matter of time. We just saw the slide with how many young people now learn about process mining at universities. This will be the new generation of people that are going to transform these processes. So people is one aspect. The other aspect is data. If you do process mining, you often suddenly discover that you have a lot of data problems that you were not aware of. So the problem is then not process mining, the problem is the data. And I think that was the friction that Alex was talking about. There is lots of friction in organization, and it is often related to the lack of data quality. Yeah? If you cannot make your processes transparent, they cannot run well. It's very simple. So many people that are not very familiar with process mining, they would say, okay, process mining, the word mining, isn't that the same as data mining? And from a definitional point of view, you could say, okay, process mining is a part of data mining. But on the other hand, none of the leading classical data mining companies is providing any process mining functionality because it is completely different. Yeah? So process mining is very different than data mining. The same is, now it is very fashionable. Even our chancellor talks about AI and machine learning and all of the beautiful things. Many people think, okay, we should have deep neural networks and they are going to solve the problem. Deep neural networks have nothing to do with process discovery. Deep neural networks are very good to discover whether a picture is a dog or a cat or these types of things, but it doesn't provide you a process model that is showing you where you have compliance and performance problems. Of course, when you have a process model, then suddenly you have the backbone to use these types of technologies on top of the model. So if you see a bottleneck, you can use these types of techniques to find out what are the root causes of this bottleneck or this compliance issue. Okay, so that was a bit about the past, a bit about the future. So we are going from backward-looking to forward-looking. Process mining used to be very much focused on historic data. These days it is very much focused on what is happening now. It will be much more focused on what is going to happen tomorrow. Another thing, and that is probably a bit difficult message to explain, as I said, conformance checking is becoming more and more important. And for example, the Gartner report, talking to customers, also shows that. However, what we now see is that many tools have a solution for process discovery and have a solution for compliance checking. These need to be unified. And I'm sure that is something that's going to happen in the next couple of years. We should have better support for comparative process mining. The absolute performance is often not the most important thing that one would like to see. One would like to see what is the difference between January and February. What is the difference between why is this department very quick and very successful, and why does this department have a big problem? Why is on one day an airport has absolutely no problem, and the next day the airport is a complete disaster? That requires comparative process mining to find out these things. We should find out what the real causes of causality are. There is a bit of a danger in using our types of technologies of making completely wrong conclusions. There is a correlation between using umbrellas and rain. There is a correlation between ice cream and burglary. But that doesn't imply that if we abandon umbrellas, it will never rain, or if we stop eating ice cream, there will not be any criminal behavior. That is not the case. So the same, if you are applying process mining and you see, okay, if there is this deviation, then on average it takes 5 days longer, then that is valuable information, but don't misinterpret it. Because otherwise you're forbidding ice cream to fight criminal behavior. That's not what is very useful. Results should be made actionable. Of course, there is a clear link between process mining and robotic process automation, but also the action engine that has been shown before is a very nice example how, if you have this process mining understanding, how can you turn it into actions? And I think that is a key factor to improve processes. Something that you don't care about at this point in time, but that I care about, because I think it will be an important requirement for your process mining tools in 5 or 10 years, is responsible use of data. So what you see is that there are techniques possible to ensure fairness. I use the example of, okay, if you destroy your umbrellas, it will never rain again. You can make the same type of wrong conclusions about bottlenecks, blaming people that are doing the most challenging and the most difficult job. So that should be built in, a notion of fairness, that you don't make any wrong conclusions. Another very important factor is event data are the most dangerous data that exist. So you should be able to encrypt the data in such a way that nobody can get to that data, but you still have the same results. Compare it to electronic voting. You don't want anybody to know what you voted, but at the same time you want to make sure that your vote has been counted. And these same ideas you can apply to process mining. So to sum up, process mining is becoming more and more mature, as we can see today, as we can see in the type of applications that you see. I'm also very happy, and that's a sign of this maturity, is that the first international process mining conference will take place in June. Celonis is one of the platinum sponsors. This will be a very important meeting place for people that would like to dig deeper into the topic of process mining. Come to a vendor-neutral event where you can exchange lots of ideas, let's say, with the top of the people working in this domain, both in industry and also in academia. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Will. Thank you. So mark your calendars for the ICPM. We are excited and thrilled to be a part of it. And you just heard Will. What the academia invented 5 or 7 or 10 years ago is now entering industry. They haven't stopped since then. So there's a lot to come, and we're very excited about the partnership and the momentum we see in the academic community. The next speaker I would like to call on stage is somebody that invented a revolutionary concept. And when he told me about this revolutionary concept, I think 3 years ago, honestly, I didn't see the revolutionary nature of the concept yet. But it took me a little bit of time to get it, to get the concept, but to get the revolutionary nature of it. And it's really, really exciting. He's really an innovator and somebody that also, like Will, thinks years ahead. Before I introduce him, I want to show a quick video on this concept, which is called the digital twin of the organization.
Digital twins continue to expand, using IoT data to constantly learn, update, and improve operations. But suppose we take the concept of digital twins even further, beyond physical objects, into a department or entire business unit, so that people, processes, information and systems now share a dynamic digital connection that interacts, analyzes, and optimizes performance continuously. In other words, what if we create a digital twin of an organization? A real-time model that aligns your strategic objectives with internal operations, using a bidirectional performance dialogue to empower every individual, leverage every expertise, and shape the way an organization coordinates, collaborates, communicates, and performs. By visualizing each moving part of an organization, a digital twin of an organization lets us keep monitoring, adapting, and improving the way we deliver products, services, and value continuously.
please welcome to the stage Mark Karamans from Gartner.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, I'm much honored by well, Alex's words on this concept and also, well, that it's now, and this is interesting, I think. He talked about this fluid organization, and he came to this through some research and to expand from process mining into something which is a bigger concept, this fluid organization. Now, when we started with this, well, concept, which was not yet called a digital twin of an organization, you know, Gartner-y terms, right, that I explained. So then this was also coming from a different direction to somewhere that was based on the same research. So yes, we also had this research going on in looking into why do these business transformations or digital transformations always seem to fail, because we had a different percentage, right? Our percentage was 70%. 70% of people didn't think that digital transformation really delivered the value that was expected. But, and I always tell this to our clients and so on, you see change around everywhere, but there is only one constant, one thing which doesn't change. And this is this 70%. Because if I remember well, right, even in the 60s, Argyris. In the 70s, beer. In the 90s, Kotler. They all came up with the same figure. 70% of transformation fails. So why is this? So we started looking into this from a different perspective and looking into how can we improve this. And we came to some of the same kind of, well, findings. First of all, yes, you have these things which is stovepipe, isolated, and you have processes going around this or through all these departments. Yes, you have to connect to your customer because, believe me, some of the, and I've, well, also in my practice before joining Gartner, I saw this kind of concept to the COO community, which they don't bother about processes, don't show them a process, don't show them these blocks, all these errors. No. They talk about very different things, about how successful their campaigns are in the market, how they can make differentiation, all of these kind of things. So yes, you need to combine that. So finally, in looking for these combinations, in showing how external interactions could fit with your internal operations, if you were able to do that, and that's how we started thinking about this, then you come up with something, well, which is this superfluid organization, but it needs something that really guides you, that really is connected day to day. And that's, well, how this digital twin of an organization came to in existence. So you have seen the movie, well, which we have created also for our keynotes at Gartner, in really trying to bring to the stage what is this digital twin of an organization, right? Because many people know about the digital twin. Digital twin is just something, well, I have a device over here. Well, they create kind of a digital model of that, graphical model, but the graphics is not the most important. Why? Because it's connected. If something changes, I can see it in my model. If I change my model, it has an impact on what I have in my right hand here. So by connecting this real time, having data, and there is also two other aspects. First of all, it's really having different perspectives. So you have a digital twin which is creating different perspectives. If I'm looking as a finance manager to it, or as an operational manager, or as a business person which is responsible for, or who is responsible for marketing, these are all different perspectives. The digital twin, and this is sometimes underestimated, is a structure of having your data, which is a lot of data, kind of structured in a way that you can work with it from different perspectives. Okay, got it. That's the digital twin. by the way, invented by NASA, because everything they shoot out in the space, they want to have a connection and have a, well, they invented digital twins, by the way, not GE and so on. But now, if you have this in mind, and you want to really go for the next thing, you can apply the same kind of reasoning to this digital twin of an organization. Imagine if you have the same concept. You have a kind of meta model, an operating model, how your organization is working. Second, imagine if this meta model is connected to your operations, to anything going on, to the real-time data. And then finally, it gives you the opportunity to constrain the information you're looking for. And that's also very much neglected within, well, any organization. They think that data, well, AI, machine learning and so on, putting this into the hands of data scientists, creating models and models and models and models on this big data will come up with a solution. Well, you can create models and go on and go on. Because what actually is going on, and that's why I'm really emphasizing that you need a kind of a guide, what actually is going on that, well, you define everything for the program of digitalization, your transformation initiative. And you're going from this A to B. Now, guess what happens? After 2-3 years, working out all these things, you finally go to B. But wait a minute, while we were moving to B, the target has moved to C. This is, of course, good news for the transformation folks, right? Because they're coming to B and they say, oh, another transformation initiative. We can go to C and go around and around and around, right? But that's not the intention. So you need something real-time that can always guide you, tell you, are we still heading in the right direction? What we are doing, is this still the thing we try to do, we try to accomplish? And this is how we came up with this kind of thing. Well, suppose now that you have these things, this operating model, which is connected and gives you this information, how can this really guide you? So how do we create this digital twin of an organization? And I usually use this kind of simple and, well, it's strange. We talked about navigation and so on just before this meeting started, or this session started. But I always say, well, take into mind to do the simplification a navigator. Navigator is very simple, right? Has 5 constituents. You have a destination, right? You have a map, because a navigator is as good as the map itself. You have something to measure, and not only am I getting there in time, no. It's also used as the parameterization of these navigation and all these kind of things. Very important, situational awareness. Where am I today? What's happening? Because I'm not alone, right? There's many others doing things in my organization. And finally, I can make decisions. Now, if you translate this into what we kind of come up with as digital twin of an organization concept, you have the same things. So digitalization, transformation, has always an impact on your business model, right? It changes the channel, it changes a product, it changes an operation, it changes resources. It has an impact on your business model. The next things, yes, you need something to really kind of depict that. You need a representation, which is the map. Then, of course, it's all about performance, right? If you can't measure it, you won't see where you are and all these kind of things. And then the value comes from how you can really bring this or make decisions. And this is where we say this is a digital twin of an organization. So let us look at one other simple representation, and then I come back to why process mining in this. Where is this? What's the thing? Okay? So let's go to this, what I told, these 3 mid-components. You need a map. This is a very simple representation. I don't tell that this is the map. No, this is a map that can do the representation. So you have different components, and some of you in the audience who are maybe black belts and so on, lean and so on, they will know that this is kind of, well, let's say, a kind of a SIPOC or SIPOC for an organization, right? Now, this is phase one. Phase two is you need something to measure, right? And here comes a very important thing. Measurements, indicators, and that's also how BI vendors and so on are trying to solve this. They have these slides down, they have these go up and down and so on. But what they don't get is beyond or between silos, you can have also interactions or indicators that correspond to each other. It will never be solved by indicators, 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 even not with a kind of methodology behind this. I had also the privilege of working together in the late 80s with Bob Kaplan, who came up with the balanced scorecard. Well, we still have this discussion going on, right? This will never be solved because you have these stovepipes and it's going top down, and never sideways. It doesn't do that. So this is step number 2. Step number 3 is then, finally, you have all these events that make it come alive. That's why we call it also a digital twin of an organization. It's really having the same characteristics. To give you a quick example, this is real life, because I'm not talking just about concepts. There are companies out there having done this, I think now for 8 years, right? I was also privileged to get let's say a sabbatical at Gartner and really started doing these things, and that's why I know some of these things do work, right? So this is one of the examples, and I come back to that. Now, the role of process mining. Well, you've seen in this model, in the middle, which is very essential, is your operations. And yes, you have these operational frictions and so on, right? Not because of the stovepipes only, but also because you have a process and another process, and they are going like this, and they have implications for each other. And then you have customer interactions, and you have many other things, because you don't sell you just don't sell one product, one service, one piece of information. You have many of these things. And by the way, they are interconnected. One client could be interested in 5 products, 7 services, right? And behind that, there are many processes. So, and by just standardizing, for example, one process based on your information, can scare you away, this client, because he's coming to your organization exceptionally for this exceptional thing. So you have all these interconnections playing. And this is exactly what we want to kind of bring as a well, not a new concept, but we call it now digital twin of an organization, but which can help you to guide and to really go to the next step. Because yes, you can see this start with operations, process mining. What has been hampering this kind of digital twin, let's say 7 years ago, we still were using maps and all these kind of things. What can speed up this thing is really the middle part, focus on your operations, use process mining, but put the results into this large kind of meta model. And that's where we disagree a little bit, I think, right? Top down, yes, don't do it alone, top down. Bottom up, of course, but I don't believe in one approach. It's like top down, the constraining from a business perspective what you're searching for and making connections, and then filling up bottom up and getting this rolling and rolling and rolling. And this is where you can start, and the arrows is, well, you can start it anywhere. You can go, for example, from your order to cash clients to operations. Or you can go from, for example, from your suppliers, P2P, into your operations. Or governance, which is the coming down, or resources. And resources could be capabilities, systems, applications, you name it, right? So that's how process mining is involved. I give you just one example because I'm looking at time and I want to finish just on time. So if I look at what can it deliver as value, I give you one of the case studies that has been using this now for 8 years, this digital twin of an organization, and that are also using process mining in a continuous way to kind of enrich this model every day. Can you imagine this organization still after 7 years, every day, 2 new workflows, processes are disclosed and put into this same model based on process mining. Every day, right? If I go to this example, and yeah, I think you get the slides, you don't have to read this all, but the most important thing is, and I want to focus on that, the value. The value is not about, did I improve productivity? It's not focused on how many steps did we do. It's not about the process lead time. See what the value is. On arrears, and this is a bank, this is, by the way, that's ING, right? So if you look at arrears, well, first moment of contact within 1 week, plus 25% of value. If you look at business lending, 17% up in reliability. Loans returned to customer, minus 60%. So this is what really interests business people, COOs, and so on. If you are able to connect your operations to this kind of information, wow. And believe me, I had a call with the global COO in the beginning of this year, and he told me that, well, all the other banks this year were around 1%, 1.5% growth. They had, in the retail section, 3.02% of growth. Not because having widened their market, but just because creating visibility and enriching this entire digital twin of the organization. By the way, they call this internally spot on, so single point of the truth, and on because you can put the lights on like whoop, going in and boom, it's on. So this is really delivering value every day to ING worldwide. So here I have some recommendations to use this, but anyway, I just want to point out that, okay, having this kind of model that can guide you into this superfluid organization is also based very much on having this very fast, up-to-date information and continuously up-to-date information delivered by process mining. And here I want to, well, stay my case, or rest my case. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I think that was very interesting. Thank you so much, Mark. I mean, you know, obviously this concept is revolutionary, and you saw the example of ING, how they completely changed the game with the digital twin of the organization. Very exciting. So the next speaker is the Chief Information Officer of BMW Group, Klaus Schraub. He has been named as one of the most innovative Chief Information Officers in the industry, leading the transformation of BMW into the new era. BMW, as you know, is a very, very innovative company headquartered here in Munich. He has been named the CIO of the decade by Computerwoche. And we are extremely excited to have him here. Before I call him on stage, we want to share a quick video from BMW. Big round of applause. Klaus, thank you. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. You saw just our newest children in our family, the X7, and we will have this year many of new products, the 8 series, also several parts. A warm welcome from my side, and it's an honor for me to stay here and to have a little presentation regarding how the journey of BMW into digitalization is and how we use, and to give you some ideas and information about how we use process mining and especially Celonis. So process, it's more or less a topic which is the whole career, a main part of my whole career. I just started beginning of the 90s at the car manufacturer in Stuttgart, worked 12 years there, and in 1992, 1993, I focused on process management with the tool from Maris, perhaps you know. And when you talk about IT and processes are close together, and especially in these days, also data. Data will get the new oil of the future, and this triangle is a very important step to bring the company forward to a digital company. When you see BMW, I do think automotive industry is one of the most changing branches we do have in the next 5 to 10 years. I just want to name autonomous driving. It will be a disruption for mobility. When you see the professionalism in the process management, 80% of our resources, of our parts are sourced out to suppliers, to partners. 20% of the value chain is internally, and I do think that the automotive industry, the car manufacturer industry, is this industry where processes are key to be successful over the whole value chain, from the end-tier supplier to the partners, to the dealers. The dealers are not belonging in general not to us. They are own entrepreneurs, and also these value chain we have to handle. And we are coming from a mobility service company and just renewed more or less our strategy just 4 years ago, and we said we want to get a mobility and a tech company. Why? Now, when you look Tesla, for example, a value on the stock exchange approximately 50 billion euro, and they have approximately revenue 3, 5, 4 billion. EBIT, I don't want to talk. And when you see the value of BMW, currently 45, 47 billion euro at the stock exchange, and we did have last year approximately an EBIT of about 9 to 10 billion euro. And what is the difference between Tesla and BMW, and what is the difference also from this tech industry, from the IT industry? Well, the main topic is more or less at the end of the day speed and flexibility. We renewed this BMW strategy, and one focus point, or more or less the main focus point was we have to get faster and more flexible. When you see my organization, we are approximately 60 nationalities in my organization, 29 countries. We have about 230 products. Now, I think we are one of the only CIO organizations which had re-engineering just the last 3 years, and I want to tell you about this re-engineering. And we just organized us in products, as the digital leaders are doing when you talk about Spotify, when you talk about Salesforce, when you talk about Microsoft. We are located in approximately 700 locations. At every location where BMW is, there's an IT guy. And last but not least, we do have approximately 12.2 million cars connected with our connected drive backbone. I do think we are the biggest car manufacturer, had the most connected cars in the internet. How are we organized? Classically, you see at the left side the regions, Asia Pacific, China, Americas, and the EMEA. And then we have at the right edge, more or less oriented in processes. That's very important when I talk about Celonis. Yeah? Our main organizational guidance premises are processes in the company, core processes in the company. And when you see these core processes of BMW, they are more or less the same as they are at Daimler, as they are at VW, as they are at GM or BMW. And last but not least, where we have located more or less the Celonis, the process mining competence, is a tech organization. That's the fourth column from left, where we bundled more or less all activities regarding connected vehicle, but all activities also which are driven by technology. That means natural language, blockchain, big data, AI, and process mining. On the bottom, you see the base competence we do have, infrastructure operations and governance. Now, as I said, I worked 12 years for Mercedes, and after 3 years for Siemens VDO, a supplier, CIO, I was 3 years there as CIO, and Siemens VDO was a supplier because it was bought by Conti. And afterwards, I worked 8 years for Audi as CIO. And as I took over 2015 or 14, the CIO job, I realized, and this was normal for IT organization, that they focused on services and costs. Services and costs, and I always said, if they have new ideas, first of all, they need more or less a sheet of paper, a contract, 2 signatures, a cost center. Before the signatures are not on beneath the contract, you don't do anything. And this is contradictory to the digitization which is coming, especially in the automotive industry. And therefore, we started 2015 a big transformation program, which is not only then at the end of the day pushing the IT forward, it's pushing the whole organization of BMW forward. We just started in middle of 2015, re-engineered the organization and brought together design and development, bringing the responsibility in one organization. Second topic, we then decided in the board, that was the first time as I was with the IT strategy in the board of BMW, the IT strategy 2016 for BMW, for the BMW Group. And this was important because we said the IT strategy is not only a functional strategy, it's also a strategy for all IT activities in the BMW Group, and it's also covering IT in the car. When you see digitization for BMW, but also for automotive industry, I would say there are 3 major dimensions of disruption. First disruption is the car gets a part of the internet, and the car is completely connected. At the end of the day, it will get, with autonomous driving, a device with 4 wheels. The second topic, customer-centric. As I said, dealers are not belonging to us. In the past, the dealer had the connections or the customer touch point. We do have approximately 8 customer channels, and we have to integrate more or less these customer channels. This is a high challenge because we are selling our cars in 100 countries of the world. And the third area is Industry 4.0, where we are re-engineering product development, product production, but also sales and more or less enabling processes. And this we covered with this IT strategy. In the middle of 2000 or end of 2016, we said, well, how can we enable us to get this speed in the organization? And then we, a small team of my organization, 6 to 7, we thought about and took more or less the strategy from Gartner, bimodal to be a bimodal organization, waterfall and agile, and we said it's not possible to have both because you have no more or less changing point or functionality, which projects are you making agile and which are you waterfall. And therefore we said, and this was more or less where the program 100% agile was born. And this I want to go a little bit deeper afterwards. Then we created, middle of 2017, the DevOps organization. We put together development operations on the deepest level in my organization, on team level, with the responsibility. This is nothing else than Spotify and these companies, these digital leaders are doing. And the next topic was, we started more or less our strategy back to code, coming 80% when you take my 5,500 employees in my organization, 80%, 90% of these employees to have an engineering degree, software engineering degree, or IT degree. So in the past, 90% was the main task to steer partners with IT, to administrate and to make strategies. So we changed this completely, and this is more or less at the end of the day the goal. 80% are focusing on value chain, are implementing software for its own. Then, as I said, beginning of this year, we started with a product portfolio organization, 1st of January this year. That means the organization was completely organized the same as our core processes were organized. We are calling it prime processes, that are core processes. Beneath, we have domains, for example, supply chain, and beneath, we do have, for example, products like warehouse management or something like this. And then we started, middle of last year, the topic Biz DevOps. It's always a common topic, business, and you saw it with the heart before my presentation. Business and IT has to come together. That means these two areas have to work at the products together. And I think from cost perspective, but also from internal corporate competence perspective, a major step was last year in September, as we had day one with Critical TechWorks, 51 joint venture from us and 49 from Critical Software. We had there 100 IT employees in our organization. We will get 100% from BMW. The first time we bought an IT company in the history, 100-year history of BMW. And we will have 1,000 employees the next years. So we increase, currently we have approximately end of this year 600 IT colleagues. Portugal is a really great place to work, and the culture is common, as we have it with the German engineering culture here in Munich, for example. That means the group IT strategy was Center 2016. We decided one important topic was culture. We changed structure, we changed technology, we changed processes, but we also changed structure, culture. That means we said we want to have fun when we want to work, and we implemented more or less the claim #EnjoyIT. And this was very important for our employees. They have to be proud to be IT colleagues. This for you perhaps a little bit questionizing, but when you are in a car manufacturing company, and I'm a mechanical engineer, priority 1 is development production, priority 2 is development production, priority 3 is development production, then perhaps sales came, and then very late IT, and this changed completely with digitalization. And this was more or less important that our colleagues also get more proud. And this was the reason then why we said we want to get from waterfall to agility. And main reason, as I said, flexibility, speed. We want to get more speed up in our processes. The reason between these organizations, and you had it in the presentations before, we have between business, between design development, between operations of IT, always walls of confusion. This needs time, this needs effort. We don't need no customer is realizing more or less these efforts. Therefore, we have to build up BizDevOps team. When we are going to Celonis, Celonis helps us very high in breaking down these walls. Now we have approximately made in the last, since 2016, we are together with Celonis, so we were one of the first customers, and I do think we are the customer who has use cases and pilots over the whole organization. And we also implement it very deeply in the production area, or for example, in the paint shop or body shop area. And when you see on the left side, you see the current processes. They are perhaps on the theory right, and they are individual implemented in the organization, but very complex. We have slow processes. IT systems are organized like the organizations, not end-to-end process. In some areas, we realized this. For example, procure to cash, we implemented just 5 years ago. Nevertheless, we have some organization-specific processes, and these are more or less, at the end of the day, the hinder point why we have problems in efficiency and effectiveness. We do not have a really high level of transparency. So Celonis helps us to get more or less, on one side, transparency, visualization, very important benchmark. We are benchmarking our culture is also focused on benchmarks. That means benchmark between Plant 1 and Plant 2, but also benchmark between BMW and the other car manufacturer, for example. Then with Celonis and the transparency, we get more or less standardization and at the end of the day, optimization and speed up. And you see it at the right side. We have a lean process in these areas. Well, now, process mining is not the only thing what we are using for digitization in our company. You need also, and what you heard before, robots. With this process on the right side, we are putting on top robots automation. So with the same date, approximately 3 years ago, 2 years ago, we implemented in our company robots to optimize our processes. For example, in US, we have in Hilliard, we have leasing cars, a leasing fleet, and this leasing fleet is getting tickets. Yes, when you are driving over too fast or something like this. So you get this per paper, you have to read this and put this more or less to the owner of the car. And this process we are automating with robots. But first of all, we need the transparency for the process, and we do get this with this process mining area. On the other side, we have implemented blockchain and natural language also to optimize these processes. At the end of the basic is the big data area. That means data which we are using, for example, for predictive maintenance and all these kind of things. So when we talk about process mining, we spread more or less examples over the whole organization. That means we have approximately 50 examples, use cases, and I would say 2/3, 3/5 we implemented in live. The issue always, and I hate a little bit the word use case in these days with digitization. We are making always use cases, but we are not able to implement it over the whole organization. Just take an example from the paint shop. We implemented, for example, the Celonis product in a paint shop in Regensburg, but we do have 26 paint shops over the world. So the task is done if Celonis is implemented over all paint shops. And this is more or less the main issue which is hindering us to get more speed. Yeah? And on one side, on the other side, when we have integrated or implemented this solution for 26 paint shops, we have to build up a knowledge network for the employees, which are discussing several ideas how they can get better. One deep dive I do want to do in the production side. We also used Celonis in the body shop, and what was great in this area, and there you see where you can use Celonis, and my speaker before just mentioned it, especially everywhere where you have IT systems. Every process where you have an IT system and processes are implemented in this IT system or in several IT systems, you get the timestamp and you can optimize more or less your process. And this we have done also in the robot, in the body shop area, and digitalization is also helping us because IT gets more and more through the whole company. So we have more or less and less manual processes. It gave us the transparency, and it combines quality and process information to get better analysis for the process and to have a overall process transparency in real time. Well, there I have also to say BMW is more or less a KPI-driven organization. What we have done for reworking, for example, we set how much time a car should be in a reworking area. So we said, for example, it's a wrong figure, but for example, that you have an ID, only 10 minutes. We got always a green amber because the 10 minutes were always reached in the rework area for the car. We implemented Celonis, and what we saw at the end of the day, the employees brought the car in the rework area, and then they put the car out of the rework area, but this was not mentioned by the system which took the time. And after half an hour, they put it once more into the rework area, and then it went through. And at the end of the day, we had 9 minutes or 9.5 minutes in the rework area, but it was 20 minutes out of the rework area. And we saw this, that we have there issues, and we have to optimize this. So it helps us in the transparency area. And that you get a better clue from this topic, I brought with me a video. Video on.
With Celonis process mining, we built the digital twin of our production processes and can measure them against our target processes and what our process should look like.
It's
essential that our employees and our automated processes operate flawlessly. Our goal is to improve all processes from the ground up, and that can only be done if you have full visibility.
Process mining helps us a lot making data-driven decisions. We are not depending on what we think the process should be, regardless if it's in production or in finance or in after sales.
Celonis helps us to achieve operational excellence by gaining quick access to our real-time production flow without major effort.
Well, if you think of all these options a customer has when he orders a car, to individualize it, to make it his car, that of course brings variations to the processes. With process mining, we are able to handle these variations and ensure the best quality of our processes as well as the end product to meet our customers' needs. We are able to identify potential obstacles and, of course, in the next step, take measures to reduce them and making processes super fluid, if you want to say that, yeah.
Last car I'm just driving, great car. Who is driving a BMW? So I have contracts outside, there's room for improvement. So last slide, what's important with Celonis? It's not only a tool for engineers or those who went to university and they can work. You need a small team. Well, it's getting bigger and bigger. We have approximately in my organization 20 colleagues who are focused on this area, but you are able then to decentralize, and you saw it in the film, to decentralize the application, and the reports could be made by the employees at the production, in the paint shop or in the production site for itself. And that's very important, so you can implement it very quick. What are critical challenges? Well, I think many of you are not since 1 week in business. It's always difficult to get transparency, but because it tells us the truth. And with this transparency we have, perhaps in your organization not, but in our organization we have sometimes problems with this transparency, how we go forward and how we optimize more or less these processes. With this transparency, we have the possibility to make analytics, and with this analytics, we see where some room for improvement is. And this is always, or sometimes also a topic. Then, well, the scaling, as I said, we are at the target if we have implemented worldwide, and not only in the administration processes, also in the production process and also in the engineering processes. We do not have one size fits all. That means, well, we will have another implementation of process mining in the engineering area. We have the idea to offer process. Then, for example, in the paint shop, and another solution or implementation in the procurement area where we have procure to cash. And, well, that's, I think, in these days very important. We have to learn from each other. We have to build up these knowledge networks in this area, in these process optimization networks. Well, that's sometimes also challenging to get this change done. At the end of the day, it's a big transformation what we are getting now with process mining, pushing the whole organization in a process-oriented manner, in an optimized manner, what we wanted the last 20, 30 years in the organization. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much.
Alex,
thank you. Thank you, really appreciate it. Wow. Impressive what the BMW team has already achieved. Thank you, Klaus, for sharing these experiences and how strategic it is to BMW's transformation. What I think is particularly exciting about what the BMW team is doing here is not just that they are rolling process mining out at a big scale, but they are applying it within the actual production processes in the shop floor where the cars get manufactured. As one of the leading and most innovative manufacturers in the world. So that is a very, very interesting outcome, I think. So thank you. So we discussed this concept of the superfluid enterprise. And in this last session of this keynote, we want to talk about how we make it happen together. And we will also want to share our product roadmap and our vision where Celonis is investing. First of all, what do we need to create a superfluid enterprise? What is BMW, what do you need to make all of your operations superfluid? It needs a new kind of software, it needs a new kind of solution. You can't achieve this with the existing products that run your business. And in order to understand why we need a new category of software and why this is a new category of software, it's helpful to look at the evolution of enterprise software over the last 20, 30 years. It all started, the current enterprise stack, obviously there was software before, but the current stack started with these monolithic systems. And that gave rise to huge companies like SAP and Oracle who are still super successful. And the idea was, let's bring in a client server-based system. And many of you have actually been a part of this. let's bring in a client server-based system into our organization that consolidates all the business transaction in a central single source of truth. And give rise to SAP and Oracle, who are running your core backbone processes, manufacturing, back-end processes, the backbone of your business. Then in the 2000s, people added cloud solutions to the mix. So they implemented things like Salesforce, ServiceNow, and typically these cloud solutions were geared at optimizing specific processes, specific functions within the business. Like, for example, sales or marketing or customer service. And then suddenly the processes got distributed not just across the core application, but across the best-of-breed applications. So the new paradigm was best-of-breed. And the era we are entering now is the rise of edge computing technologies. So we have our stack with the monolithic systems and with the best-of-breed cloud applications. And now we're adding edge computing systems. Like sensors, we are digitizing the production like BMW. We're adding robots that are not part of the core system, they interact with the core system. We're adding APIs that carry data. We're adding things like Azure, Fabric, the Lambda technology from Microsoft. We're adding all these microservices into our processes. So suddenly, a production process or procure-to-pay process doesn't just run through SAP, and doesn't just run through Ariba and SAP, or Salesforce and SAP, or ServiceNow and SAP, or Oracle. It runs through a number of bots, a number of sensors, a number of best-of-breed cloud applications, and the core system. So the enterprise stack is getting increasingly distributed. And people that say that the enterprise is going to standardize on one platform, that's just not going to happen. You will have more and more platforms, and you will add edge computing systems to the mix. And the challenge is that that's where the friction gets introduced. And we need a layer that sits on top of these things, that analyzes end-to-end what is going on in these processes, and then helps accelerate the performance of these processes in real time. And this is what we want to do. This is the category that we are ultimately aiming at. We call it enterprise performance acceleration. So in order to deliver this, we focus on two things. We just said, together, we want to make processes super fluid, one process at a time. We just heard from BMW how many processes they have, 28 paint shops, etc. So what we have to do as a product, as Celonis, is we have to increase and improve the speed and the simplicity. We have to enable you to get there even faster and make it more simple for your users to adopt it. And this is what we have already invested in a lot, and it's called time to value, right? It's about speed and simplicity. It's about reducing time to value. And we have already invested in various things, various capabilities to help you reduce time to value, like your customer success managers, our partner networks, all these things. But the biggest time to value investment is our Intelligent Business Cloud. It helps you drastically reduce time to value. It helps you get there much, much faster and in a much, much more simple way. And we are going to introduce this to make this a little bit fun. We are going to introduce this to you here on stage based on an example of a company called Celosphere. Celosphere is a Bavarian beer distributor. And as we would reasonably expect from a Bavarian beer distributor, they have a very sophisticated warehouse management system using SAP, of course. And Celosphere wants to get transparency into their order-to-cash process. It's very important for them, their distributor. It just so happens that the head of the new Process Mining Center of Excellence of Celosphere is here with us today. Tina, and come on stage. So, hi Tina, how are you?
Hi Alex, how are you?
Very good, thank you. So Tina, we have a challenge. Did you bring your SAP system?
I actually did.
Ah, great.
Yes.
So let's bring it up as well.
All right, let's do that.
Thank you. So Tina brought her SAP system, very nice. Okay. So here's the SAP system. Tina, thanks for bringing that. And this SAP system runs the order-to-cash process. So we want to show you now how you can implement, how Tina can implement Celonis Intelligent Business Cloud on this order-to-cash process. What preparation have you already done?
Oh, absolutely nothing.
Oh, okay, no preparation.
Yeah.
So while I'm continuing this keynote, Tina is going to connect to the system, extract the data, do a full implementation of Intelligent Business Cloud, and show us the results. So, Tina, do you think you can do that before I finish the keynote?
Yes, totally. I think so. But let's see. I'll give my best.
Okay, thank you. So, Tina is going to, and by the way, on these screens, you will be able to follow her. So she's really starting from scratch. You see that, right? And you can take notes, and you can skip the next training class. So you can always see what she does on the side monitors. So what Tina is going to do is she's going to use, because as we said, and Will said as well, the biggest first challenge with process mining is getting the data. We have to get the data from the SAP system into Celonis. So in the Intelligent Business Cloud, we integrated a full data integration capability that is designed to fit the process mining purpose. We call it event collection. So you don't need any separate ETL tools anymore. You can use the integrated event collection. It has all the standard connectors that we've built over many, many years with our customers. And you can just use it directly in the Intelligent Business Cloud. The Intelligent Business Cloud is a native, cloud-native product. It's not like a box that we put in the sky. Essentially on-premise software that we run on AWS. It's a cloud-native application with an infrastructure behind that scales seamlessly. So you don't have to worry about getting a server, sizing the server, buying a database, then you bring in more data and the database isn't performing anymore, you need more server size. She doesn't even have to set up anything. It's all fully run in the Intelligent Business Cloud. So there's no infrastructure that you need to scale up, that you need to worry about. This is a huge thing for our on-premise customers. Getting the infrastructure, making sure the infrastructure supports the scale and flexibility of the solution. We are continuously adding new, so on the on-premise world, you get a deployment, a new functionality every few months, every few weeks. In the Intelligent Business Cloud, we push the innovation always, seamlessly. Directly from our testing, when it's quality tested, we can directly push it to all of our customers. So you don't need to worry about doing an upgrade and am I on 4.4, 4.5, etc. All these things go away. And we have our app store. We've built up the content store, that now became the app store, which is a very key part of our offering. We've built that up over the years with our customers, and we've now fully integrated that into the Intelligent Business Cloud. So you don't need to go and download content from the content store. You don't need to go anymore and download that content and see how it applies and look at your data model and make it fit your data model. You can just basically, like Tina does it, it's pretty small on the screen, but we will see it in a bit. You can just use the predefined apps from our app store. They are just there for you. So this is the revolutionary part of the Intelligent Business Cloud.
Sorry, Alex. I hate interrupting you, but I'm done.
Oh, she's done. Wow. I didn't expect that. Already?
Yes, so
okay.
I set up the data connection to that SAP system over there. Then I extracted all the data associated with the order-to-cash process of Celosphere, and I downloaded a pre-built analysis from the App Store. So if you don't mind, I would actually jump straight into that analysis right now.
I mean, that's very impressive. Thank you. Let's do it.
All right. Here we see that Celosphere is a major beer distributor with a net order value of nearly 700 million euros. During the last year, nearly 500,000 of beer kegs have been ordered and were sent out to the customer after approximately 27 days. On the right side, you can see the most common process flow. So let's have a look at that. Normally, the order is received and confirmed. Then the delivery document is generated. The goods are shipped. Then the invoice is sent out. And finally, the invoice is paid. However, there are other activities occurring apart from that most common process flow. So let's have a look at that. And I quickly zoom into the first deviation. For 88,000 order items, Celosphere can't meet the expected delivery date. So that means that we actually have to reach out to the customer after we already confirmed the order and then tell the customer that the order is late. And trust me, there are more fun things to do than telling a German that the beer is not on time. All right, but instead of just focusing on all those deviations, and I assure you there are many more, let's see how Celosphere developed over the last year. And it looks like the business has been rather stable, just showing some seasonal fluctuations. And our best-selling product has been Budweiser, which shouldn't be too surprising since the Budweiser brewery is one of the Celonis customers.
All right. So thank you, Tina. So it looks like a very stable business. We found some process deviations. Some things are not working out, so we have to improve it. But when your CEO called me from Celosphere, this was only looking at SAP. He told me that you also implemented a custom e-commerce system to deliver online orders.
Exactly. And
that's not included in here, right?
No, because that's like a customized system, and it's built upon an MS SQL database. So yeah, that's a different thing.
So you have a custom system built up on a Microsoft SQL Server database. And can we bring that in here so we can see the process across both of these systems?
Well, sure, we just need to bring that system on stage, I guess.
Let's bring the system on stage.
All right.
So what you see here is very common for all of you. You don't just have an SAP system, but you have custom systems like an e-commerce system. And you want to analyze the process across the e-commerce system and your ERP system. So if we go back to the presentation, Tina, the challenge for you is now that we added an e-commerce system, and we want transparency across this custom SQL Server-based e-commerce system and our SAP system. So we see what is going on in the business end-to-end. So can you do that while I finish the keynote?
Yes, it will just take a little bit longer because we don't have an out-of-the-box process connector in the App Store.
Okay.
But I'll give my best.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
So what's interesting here is that our event collection capability doesn't stop with the out-of-the-box connectors. You can use the Celonis event collection capability to build custom connectors for systems and combine data from multiple systems, and you don't have to leave Celonis. You don't need an ETL tool or anything else to do that, and it is geared and built for process mining. So we really make the most difficult part of any process mining implementation much, much faster and much, much simpler with the Intelligent Business Cloud. It also has a drastic effect on total cost of ownership. And this is a very important side of the coin, because you have to deliver value, you have to save more money than you, or make more money with Celonis than you pay for your entire process mining initiative. So we ran a benchmark across 50 projects, and the IBC reduces cost of ownership by 8 times. You do not need to invest in hardware. You do not need to invest in database licenses to run your process mining system. You do not need to invest in ETL connectivity, because that comes now with the product, it's integrated. You do not need to invest as much in the process connection. You still need to invest some internal or external resources. You do not need to invest as much in the entire enablement, the internal resources, etc. It all is drastically reduced because it comes from a cloud-native application that is built to make this easy. We took 3 years to develop the Intelligent Business Cloud, together with you, together with our customers. And what's really interesting, I want to talk a little bit about how the Intelligent Business Cloud is adopted by our customer base already today. And we could not be more excited about that. We blew all of our internal expectations. We have thousands of users on the IBC Live from over 250 different customers in just 6 months. Blew all of our expectations. Uber has 1 billion records they're analyzing in the IBC, and they refresh over 86 million records every day. So they bring in 88 million new records every day. So you see the scalability. They didn't have to buy new servers to do that. We have over 4,000 new features and fixes and improvements deployed in 6 months without disrupting the customer experience. And we are already analyzing over 45 terabytes of data across our customer base in the IBC today. It is truly revolutionary. It makes it so much better, so much simpler, so much faster. And I'm very, very excited to bring 4 individuals on stage. Martin from Uber, Michaela from Rational, Thomas from Drexelmeier, and Thomas from Process End. Give them a warm welcome. So all of them are using the IBC live today. Hey Thomas, hey. Hey Martin, nice to see you. Hey Michaela, hey. Hi Thomas. Hey, I think I have a microphone here. Perfect. So we have 3 customers and 1 partner. And we want to share some stories, and thank you so much for joining us, on how you use the IBC and what difference you think it makes for your process mining initiatives. So let's start with you, Thomas. Thomas, you are from Process End, a partner, and you helped Rational get going on IBC.
Yeah, exactly. So, look, IT infrastructure is not our business. Our business as Process End is getting value out of data. And so the IBC supports us to get on track faster, get insights faster. So we see a shift. So maybe 1 year ago, we had talks about IT infrastructure at the beginning. They cost a lot of time. Now we see the shift from IT infrastructure talks to business value talks.
Thank you, Thomas. So Michaela, can you share the perspective of a customer, Rational, who implemented IBC with the support of our partner Process End?
Yes, the implementation was very quick and smooth. And I think it took 3 weeks, about 3 weeks that we have the data in the cloud, and another 3 to 4 weeks to do the whole implementation. And we were permanently in contact with our partner, with Process End. And we still are, so the journey is not and has not ended yet. So we are still in contact to go further and further. And I think it was a very, very positive experience.
Thank you so much. Thank you for being one of our first customers on Intelligent Business Cloud. So Martin, at Uber, you have very big data volumes because you're such a big organization. And can you tell me about, and also it's sensitive data. So can you tell me about your experiences working with the team to get IBC up and going on this huge data volume and what it means for you?
Yeah, for sure. So I think it's essentially what we're seeing here with this demo. That was the experience that I had implementing all of this data. And I think what's more important now going forward is not only did we go live within weeks and not months, is now whenever we want to push more data, and we push a lot of data at any given time, whenever we want to push more data, it takes days. So there's simply a request that goes into the IT team, and where the data is sourced, where we want to pull from, and then it just happens. It is it is pretty seamless, and it's exactly what we're seeing here.
Thank you so much. And then finally, Thomas, you at Drexelmeier, for you it was very important to get going quickly. Tell us about the story.
Yeah, so the key was we had a proof of value. And during the proof of value, we already had a basic setup, also with the help of Celonis, using the Intelligent Business Cloud. So after that, when we wanted to start our implementation project, everything was basically already there. We only had to switch to productive. And in our implementation project, we had to deal with things like governance, user authorization, single sign-on, but hardware and hardware performance were none of them. So what we can do right now, because of the proof of value, we have a basic process model. We can gain first insights and simultaneously work on improving the process model and refining it. And this, of course, reduces time to value.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for telling about your experiences. Thank you. Hey, thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Thomas. Thank you so much. And obviously, they are all around at Celosphere, so you can ask them yourselves one-on-one about the experiences and about the details. So it is really, really exciting to us because, again, we together want to make the world super fluid, so we have to better get moving quickly. And the IBC just makes it much, much easier and much, much faster. And what's important, many of you are sitting there now and thinking, I already have Celonis on-premise. I already invested in building an on-premise Celonis system, which at the time was the most advanced thing out there for process mining. And what we have done with IBC is we enable you as on-premise customer. You can keep your data on-premise and you can keep your on-premise system running just as it does, but you can uplink it to the Intelligent Business Cloud and use the benefits of the Intelligent Business Cloud on top of your on-premise infrastructure. Because it matters to bring all of us and all of you the benefits of the Intelligent Business Cloud. So we made it possible. You can go full cloud. You can also move your system to the cloud completely. And if you choose not to do that because you've already invested and built up the on-premise infrastructure, you can extend and use new capabilities like our action engine in the Intelligent Business Cloud. There's some updates. We are connecting to more and more systems. We have built connectors, recently launched UiPath connector, a ServiceNow connector, seamless out of the IBC, a Zendesk connector, so many, many connectors that we are adding constantly, and we have a big team working on adding more and more connectors to the IBC that make it as easy as we just saw it with SAP. We are now not just offering IBC on Amazon AWS, but we are also offering it on Microsoft Azure. So if you can choose whether you would like to have IBC on AWS or whether you would like to have IBC on Azure. And we integrated a big request from our customer base was to integrate community and help and enablement into the IBC. So you can access help and community directly from the IBC now. It's very exciting. We're very excited. But let's check in with Celosphere here, with Tina. How are you doing?
I'm done.
You're done? Very good.
Yes, I just didn't want to interrupt you again.
Okay, thank you for not interrupting me. So now what Tina has done is, why don't you just...
Yes, so now I integrated all these online orders of that customized e-commerce system into the already existing order-to-cash process of Celosphere. So thereby, the total number of orders was doubled, and the net order value increased by 15%. So launching that new online sales channel was a great success for Celosphere. On the right side, you can still see the most common process flow, which now includes online activities, like initiating and finalizing a shopping cart, then also adding items into that shopping cart, or receiving a replenishment order automatically. And you know, Alex, what I like best about this is that you can truly reconstruct and understand the customer journey, because we even see when items are first added and then deleted from the shopping cart. Let's add some more activities just to find out what else is there. And actually then the possibility to pay electronically shows up. However, our customers only use electronic payment in 3% of the cases. So if we filter on these orders which are paid electronically, it becomes clear that the electronic payment has a huge impact on the throughput time, because it drops from 29 to only 11 days. And again, there are many more deviations within this process, but let's rather see how the online and offline orders developed over time. Whereas the offline orders in blue stayed rather constant, the pink online orders increased dramatically. So Celosphere truly managed to ramp up that e-commerce system within the last 5 months. And actually right now, 80% of all orders are being made online. That's pretty great news. I mean, more orders lead to more cash, right? So let's actually have a look at the cash balance. In November 2018, Celosphere had more than 3 million euros in their bank account. However, with the introduction of that new e-commerce system, that cash balance continuously decreased. And now there's not even 1 million left. And even worse, if we extrapolate that trend, it means that Celosphere will be running out of cash within the next 2 months. So Celosphere will be insolvent in the next 2 months. So I better start looking for a new job, I guess.
Tina, so that sounds not so optimal. So what you're saying is the business is going well. There's a bunch of people ordering online.
Exactly. We are selling more, but we are still running out of cash.
Okay. And why is that?
Let's see whether we can find the root causes. So here we actually see that the number of open invoices has grown exponentially during the last 5 months. So we are building up a huge backlog of open invoices. I mean, but that would never happen if more of our customers would pay electronically, because then we wouldn't even have to send out paper invoices manually. However, the electronic payment rate stayed constant throughout the entire last year. So we managed to digitize the front end of our process by introducing that e-commerce system, but not the back end, because we didn't scale up the electronic payment rate.
Got it, got it.
And let's actually focus on how that backlog was being created. So with the introduction of the e-commerce system, the number of orders per day tripled. However, the invoices processed per day stayed flat. So obviously, all those open invoices are accumulating, and so is the working capital that we need to finance that backlog of open invoices. So basically, we are paying our suppliers, the beer breweries, but our customers are not paying us because they've never even received the invoice. But how I said, if our customers would pay electronically, we wouldn't even have to send out those invoices and we wouldn't be running out of cash.
Got it. So in essence, what Tina is saying, they have much more orders because customers can now order online, but they don't manage to send out more invoices because customers still don't pay electronically. And that's why we're running out of cash.
Exactly.
Okay, so we have to solve that. Thank you, Tina.
All right, thanks, Alex.
Round of applause. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Okay. So let's come to the future and then wrap this up. So I've been to dinner with many of you last night, and I talk to a lot of you regularly, and so do our other people here at Celonis. And we ask our customers always a simple question: how can we do a better job? And the thing, customers, now that we have IBC, what we hear most from customers is the customers struggle or are challenged to get from these amazing insights to action. There's no question that Celonis can uncover a lot of friction in the organization. There's no question that we can uncover a lot of opportunity in the organization. We all know this. But how can you make sure that your organization takes action? Organizations are complex. There's change management associated to it. How can we make sure that we actually realize value because we are taking action? And all of our future is centered around that. We are going to make a few announcements of new capabilities that we're introducing, and they are all focused on getting from insight to action. And you might now say this old news, we already know the action engine. Yes, the action engine is one of the things, but there's actually 4 capabilities. We sort of started with the action engine, but we are introducing 3 additional capabilities to get you, truly get you from insight to action. So again, the idea, we want to build an enterprise performance acceleration layer to accelerate your performance. We start with discovering and monitoring, like Tina did. She discovered what's going on in her process, and she was able to monitor how the process changed. But the step that's missing in the middle is that we can actually use Celonis to enhance the process, to improve the process. And this is what we as a company are going to focus on, together with you, our customers and partners. And there's 4 key capabilities and 1 concept behind it. The concept is called performance accelerators. I mean, I was maybe a little bit unfair. Many of you obviously improve your processes today already, otherwise you wouldn't be here. But that's a very manual process. You have to talk to people, you have to change something here, you have to change something here. And what we are doing is we're taking this manual process of improving processes and putting it into software. And these software components are called performance accelerators. And there's 4 capabilities to performance acceleration. There's an open application framework that allows you to easily build apps for people, to give people a place to take action. There's our action engine that allows you to send intelligent next best action recommendations to your entire workforce and engage everybody. There's workflows, so the ability to execute change in the underlying systems and processes. And there's a machine learning workbench that can do predictions and help you do this intelligently. And that's what we're introducing. So, open application framework, so you can bring it all together in one simple operational view for the user, bring the operational and the analytical insights together in a very easy to use application, applications for business people, not for analysts. Our machine learning workbench is huge. We have a Python workbench that is much, much better integrated than all old Python integrations for Celonis 4. Directly built into the Intelligent Business Cloud, where you can run Python scripts, orchestrate your Juniper notebooks, directly exchange data between your Celonis data model and the machine learning workbench. We have the action engine that allows you to send signals and next best action recommendations to the entire workforce. And we are introducing a revolutionary workflow capability that allows you to execute these steps then across the different systems. For example, change a master data record in SAP. So one example, to give some examples, could be that we want an accelerator for our on-time delivery. We notice our on-time delivery isn't optimal. There's a big focus for a lot of you, on-time delivery, especially if you move physical products. We can now build an application for supply chain people to understand which orders are being delayed, why they are being delayed. We can have a machine learning model in the background that does predictions to understand which orders are going to be delayed or not. We can bring it together in the app. We can send out signals to people in the business to say, you have to now click it, you have to now take care of it. This one is a case that you have to focus on. And our workflow capability then allows you to expedite an order in the workflow system. So for example, in SAP, on your warehouse management system, to actually, so we see, okay, this order needs to be expedited, the workflow then will expedite the order. And we are going to build pre-built accelerators like we do with the apps and put them in our Intelligent Business App Store. So one accelerator for on-time delivery, one for perfect order, one for e-invoicing, one for employee onboarding. We are going to build these together with you. So if you have ideas on how you want to operationalize change, we can build accelerators together. Our partners, build them together with our partners. Our partners will be able to bring them into the App Store. And we will build a true ecosystem, a platform for performance acceleration. This is our goal. And because Celosphere is running out of cash, the initiative got escalated to the CFO level. So we have the CFO of Celosphere joining us, Anthony Dayton. Round of applause. Anthony.
Alex.
Show us, Andy, please show us how you move from insight to action.
Sure. So,
with the accelerators.
Yeah, so as the CFO for Celosphere, I just received a phone call from the head of our Center of Excellence in process mining with some pretty scary news. We're running out of business. We're running out of cash. And to make matters more challenging, we're running out of cash at an accelerating rate. The more we sell, the worse the situation gets. But ordinarily in a situation like this, as the CFO of a major beer distributor, what I would be working on is brushing up on my resume and logging into LinkedIn, right? Because I'd be out of a job in 3 months. But I'm super chill. I'm really relaxed. And it's not just because I work at a beer distributor. It's because I have access to the Intelligent Business Cloud and to these new accelerator platform, which is going to help me fix the problem, which you would see if it were on the center screen. Excellent. So what I can do here is I can come into my Celonis workspace and I can launch a new initiative, and I'm going to use as the basis of that initiative the Working Capital Accelerator. And I'll call it the e-payment initiative. I'm going to launch that right into my Celonis workspace. And what this is an open application framework application that I, as a business user, can use to drive change in the organization. And the change I want to drive is I want more of our customers to pay electronically. Tina, when she phoned me, not only showed me the challenge, we're running out of cash, but she pointed me exactly in the right direction for solving it, which is drive people to e-payment, to pay electronically. What's powerful about this application is it combines an analytical view, which you can see right here. So everybody has clarity on the problem, we're running out of cash, but also an operational interface where I can quite literally take action. Now, as you can see from this interface, we've divided our customer base into 4 big segments: thirsty digital natives, VIP classic customers, etc. And we did that using the intelligence of our machine learning capability so we can understand how the customer base breaks down. And let me show you how that works. So with the Celonis Intelligent Business Cloud, with the machine learning workbench, we've actually fully integrated machine learning capabilities into the cloud experience. So as a data scientist, I don't have to worry about spinning up infrastructure or understanding how to get a Python server working or how to get Jupyter notebooks integrated. It's right here in the Celonis Intelligent Business Cloud. And I can just make a connection to the Celonis infrastructure, and I can do powerful machine learning interactions. Like, for example, I could take and plot the entire customer base as a scatter plot. And of course, I'm sure everyone in the room can instantly see the problem and the opportunity for fixing it. No, you can't, because it's a scatter plot, and I'm showing thousands of customers arrayed in a way, across order volume versus average order size. It's too much for the human to understand. And yet, what we can do is we can take that same set of data and we can use a powerful machine learning algorithm, in this case, a k-means clustering algorithm, and use all of the hundreds of attributes of our Celosphere customer base and the underlying process model uniquely available from Celonis. And now I can break that customer base into 4 big segments. And it's exactly those segments which appear here in my Open Application Framework Working Capital Accelerator. So here you can see how we figured out that the thirsty digital natives are having the single biggest impact on our working capital, our cash flow. And it's exactly there which we should begin for taking action. So let's look at those thirsty digital natives. These thirsty digital natives, that single most important segment for improving our working capital situation and returning Celosphere to solvency, they generate a huge number of orders. They don't order very much, and they wait for the invoice to show up in the mail before they pay us. Huge problem. But what if we could run a marketing campaign to that customer base and offer them a discount if they signed up for e-payments? That would be great. Now, how would I do that in the past? I hop on the phone with our marketing department, and I'd try to get them to organize that, and then I would talk to the finance department, and there'd be a big debate and probably a bunch of spreadsheets going back and forth. But we've integrated that operational capability right into this working capital accelerator. So I can actually go ahead and send a promotion. We're going to make it a big promotion because we're really running out of cash. And we're going to set it for a short period, only for 5 days, because we really want to get people moving here. And we can go ahead and send that promotion. Now, what happens here behind the scenes is we kick off a workflow. And let me show you that workflow. What the workflow does is it adds those customers to a campaign in Salesforce.com. Then it sends an email, and it actually integrates directly to Slack. And if I pull that up, you can see here in Slack, here are those 3 customers that I added. And we've just alerted the marketing department that we've just set up this campaign. And what's great about this workflow capability is it's something even I can use. It's point and click. So let's say we wanted to add an action. Right? You can see the long list of actions that are available to me. Things like connecting to an SAP system, to RPA vendors like Blue Prism and Automation Anywhere, UiPath, operational applications like Microsoft Dynamics, or maybe I want to just do something simple like add something in Excel. So in a point-and-click, easy-to-use interface, I can knit together my internal processes and have the ability to sort of push that change. So we've taken an automated action for this customer base, these thirsty digital natives. We also have a second set of customers, and sorry, I should mention, you can see that we've actually pushed those promotions out live. We get a real-time status update on how that's going. But we have a second customer group, the so-called VIP Classics. This is our established customer base. They order large volumes. We've been working with them for a long time, and they don't order on e-commerce. So how am I going to get that customer base to start moving towards e-payment? I can't rely on just sending them an email or a message. I need to get a real human being to engage with that customer and have a conversation. And that's exactly where the Action Engine is so uniquely valuable, because I can actually do an automated follow-up for that. Now, what I'm going to do in this case is I'm going to select our best beer salesman ever, Alex, and we're going to do an automated follow-up. So what we do in this case is we actually have an Action Engine skill which generates what we call a signal. You can think of the Action Engine as this smart, intelligent agent that sits sort of behind your right shoulder and does all the smart things you would do as an analyst. And in this case, it takes that list of customers generated from that machine learning capability, and it routes signals, in this case to Alex, with a set of actions you can take for improving that process. And so in this case, we've routed that action to Alex, and because Alex is a sales guy, of course, he's always on his phone. So let's look at Alex's phone. This is really Alex's phone, and he's going to log in to the Action Engine.
Just open it. I can log in. And this is what Schuckert, for example, and other customers now, we are rolling out Vodafone and more customers on the Action Engine. This is how it looks like. Every employee gets an inbox and 2 emails a day. 1 email in the morning, 1 email in the afternoon. You can also configure it and change it, but that's the typical setup. And I see my most important actions. So now I see that I need to send switch a VIP customer to e-payment because we're running out of cash. I can see information about the signal on my phone. I can offer them a 3% discount. It's been calculated, yeah, the 3% is the right discount. I can see the customer, I can see they have $9,200 average order value, 235 orders. And I can take multiple actions. I can update the contract, I can update the customer, it will bring me to my CRM system, or I can just call the customer. And I'm calling the customer. So the idea here is that we bring the most important thing that you told us, the ability to guide your organization towards taking action into the product and bundle it around these, this concept called accelerators.
And as the CFO of Celosphere, having implemented this working capital accelerator, I'm confident that our e-payment initiative will be successful. We'll return to solvency and go back to the important job of distributing beer around Bavaria. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Andy. So before we wrap up, certainly an exciting demo, but I'm sure you want to make sure that this stuff actually works. So we are making this an intelligent Celosphere, an intelligent conference, okay? So all of you in your inbox, you will have an invitation to Action Engine. And you can sign up, and through the course of the next 2 days, you will get signals with important actions that you have to take, like grab a beer when the beer is available, or tweet about Celosphere on Twitter, or post about Celosphere on LinkedIn. And you will be able to experience Action Engine in real life. You will also have access, if you log in with your laptop with the same credentials, to some demo analyses, so you can look at that as well. There's one more thing. We obviously recognize that in order to do this, we need to establish real-time connectivity to your systems. Now it's really becoming a real-time thing. And Will and Mark said the same thing before. And real-time is already possible if your infrastructure is built, your source system is built to be able to pull real-time and incremental data. The challenge is that the biggest source system is not, SAP is not. And that's why we've acquired a company called Banyas that has been the leader in building real-time connectivity for SAP systems. And we're already piloting this with our customers. Connectivity to SAP is hard. We have solved it, but we haven't solved it in real time so far. And now we will be able to ship functionality to you to solve this in real time. And this is another big thing we are working on. To have real-time connectivity to your SAP system. The Banya solution can also identify unknown processes in the SAP system so that you can apply real-time across the entire system. The next frontier in process mining is real-time. Just to wrap it up, we shared a bold vision with you that we want to enable all of you and all companies around the world to become truly superfluid enterprises. We shared with you on the classical process mining and monitoring scope how we can drastically reduce time to value, and we had customers speak up for this here on stage. And we shared that we are also going to support you, not just stopping with the insight, but guiding your organization towards action, which was the single most important thing you have been asking us for. Thank you so much. Hi. I forgot one thing. We pushed the agenda back by 30 minutes because the keynote ran over. So just add 30 minutes to every agenda item. All of the sessions will take place. There will be no sessions that we cancel, just 30 minutes later. Thank you.
I know